What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I need to show you some exciting new cards from EB-02. And when I tell you that these are exciting new cards from EB-02, I mean these are exciting cards from EB-02. We got a couple different cards that let you play characters for free. Kind of. One more than the other, I suppose. But first, we've got a new Buggy. And oh, this new Buggy is good. As a side note, remember how I keep telling you that we've got cards from EB-02 that make older decks better again? This absolutely counts in that regard. It is wonderful. I absolutely love it. What we got here is a green Buggy. The green is very important. And we've got ourselves a trigger that just says you can rest one of your opponent's 4-cost or lower characters, which is actually kind of good. That's a good trigger. However, we've got a main skill that reads, on play, if you don't have any other Buggy in play, give your leader double attack for this turn. Now, this is actually really important, because giving your leader double attack is broken. Remember, it's not really double attack, it's double damage. You only get to attack once, but you deal double damage when you do. The thing is, it's an on-play skill that only works if you don't have any other Buggy in play. So whereas, like, we know Cavendish from EB-01 is brilliant, and only works if you don't have any other Cavendish, but that's okay, because you don't need any other Cavendish. Like, having one is absolutely fine, because it's an on-play skill, but it's also an attacking skill, so don't even worry about it. You're good. Similarly, we've got Black Maria that came around in OP-08, which only works if you don't have any other Black Maria in play, but it's just an activate main skill, so you just sit there and use it every single turn, and it doesn't really matter if you don't have any other Black Maria in play. One will do fine. Here, it's an on-play skill that only works if you don't have any other Buggy. So you basically need to get rid of this. Bump it yourself somehow. Get it taken out. This Buggy needs to leave the field. Although it's also kind of a fun little side note that you sit there attacking with Buggy and your opponent doesn't want to take you out because then you can play another Buggy. Also, it has no counter. And the skill only works if you don't have any other Buggy in play. So you kind of want to play 4 because it's busted, but then it's going to be clogging up your hand afterwards. That's not escaped me. But combine this with the starter deck Captain Eustace Kid. Go right back to the beginning of the game. Go to starter deck 2 and play it with starter deck 2 Captain Eustace Kid. Because activate main once per turn, pay free, trash a card from your hand, set this leader to active. I told you that double attack was really double damage. It didn't let you attack twice. Yeah, Kid can attack twice. So, honestly, what I'm thinking here is pay 4 to play Buggy, pay 3 to play Kid, or, use a skill on Kid. Just whack all your other Don on Kid as a 1k boost per Don, and then just sit there and have a wonderful time. You could potentially get like 4 damage off with Kid in one turn. Now, you're going to need to be playing around with this. You're going to need to make sure that you've got enough Dawn and all of that. You've taken out your opponent's blocker. They're not going to be able to counter out of it, blah, blah, blah. But I'm saying you can set up a redonkulous turn here. And again, all you need to do is try and get your Buggy off the field, and you can do this more than once. Also, do remember that in One Piece, unlike in games like Pokemon, for instance, you're allowed 5 characters on your field, and if you want to just play another one, you can just trash a character already on your field. So, yeah. The whole no other Buggy on the field, not as big a deal as it might otherwise be. I adore this Buggy. I think this Buggy is phenomenal. I think with any green leader, it's going to be great because giving double attack is good. But especially with starter deck 2 Captain Eustace Kid that can attack twice, this one is a bit special. How about a brand new card? How about a card just revealed this morning? How about Blue Portgus the Ace? It is a 5-cost, 5,000 power, counter plus 1,000. And on play, if your leader is Whitebeard Pirates, look at the top 5 cards of your deck But a 2-cost character, and it does have to be a 2-cost character. It has to be exactly a 2-cost character, no more, no less. And you put it into your hand. And then the rest go onto the bottom of your deck in any order you like. And then you can play a 2-cost character from your hand rested. And again, it has to be a 2-cost character. We're not talking about a 2-cost or less, or a 2-cost or more. It has to be exactly a 2-cost character. But it's another one of those things like we've seen a bunch in the game whereby you find a 2-cost and then you play a 2-cost, but they don't have to be the same. So if you find a 2-cost but you've got one in your hand you'd rather play, that's fine. If you whiff it but you've got one in your hand you want to play, that's fine as well. Cool. As a side note, of course, this is a blue card. And it only works with Whitebeard Pirate decks. That gives you 2 options. That gives you the Marco that came around in OP-08 and the Portgas Ace which came around in Starter Deck 13. But make no mistake about it, this is designed for the Portgas Ace from Starter Deck 13 because, of course, go back to Starter Deck 13, look at all the lovely cards we got, and you will notice that there's a bunch of 2-cost cards in here. Like, we've got the 2-cost yellow Sabo, the 2-cost yellow Ace, the 2-cost yellow Luffy, all of which, incidentally, have a skill whereby you can trash them and reveal the top card of your life. And if it's Sabo, Luffy, or Ace, depending on the card, with a cost of exactly 5, you can play it and boost your leader by 2k. Well, yeah, that's kind of the point. We're playing these 2-cost cards. That is very much the point here. There are, of course, others we can go for here. You know, do we have any blue Whitebeard Pirates? Or red Whitebeard Pirates, if we want to go down the Marco route, that have a cost of exactly 2? We have some. We got the Blenheim from OP-02 that's got blocker. But be honest, how many of you forgot that card even existed till I just showed you? It's not exactly one that sees a huge amount of play now, is it? It is an option, but that's about the best I can say right now. We've got the Harata from OP-03, which actually isn't too bad. Activate main once per turn, give a rested Don to your leader or one of your characters. We've got the Fossa, which is also from OP-03, that is just a blocker. We've got Blamenko from OP-03, that gives one of your opponents minus 2k. Which is kind of fun. And then in terms of blue Whitebeard Pirates with a cost of exactly 2, we've got... It's not a dramatic pause, there aren't any. I'm on the card list, the card finder over on the official English website right now. I'm having a look. And unfortunately, if you search for blue Whitebeard Pirate characters, you will find there's a bunch of them. None of them, unfortunately, have a cost of exactly 2. We have a bunch of red here, but it's not exactly great in terms of the cards we've got. So essentially what that means is you probably want to be focusing on the Ace from Starter Deck 13 and all of those 2-cost cards and kind of rolling from there. Okay, cool. Still a fun card. Still lets you play cards for free. Also... Anyone else notice the cost of the Ace I just showed you? Why, it's exactly a 5-cost. Obviously, very much not a coincidence. It is designed so that it can be used with the 2-cost Portgas Ace from Starter Deck 13. Nice. I like how these things keep going together. Works with Marco, blatantly designed for Starter Deck 13 Ace. But I did promise you a couple of cards that can play cards for free. How about, well, Blueno? I'm literally just getting to the end of the Water 7 chapter in my reread of One Piece. So I'm like, oh, I get him now. And this is, of course, CP9 Blueno. No one's surprised anymore. No one's thinking Blueno's still just a bartender. Oh, no. We know they're from CP9. 5 cost, 6,000 power, counter plus 1,000, activate main, trash a card from your hand, and put this character into the trash. So you have to trash this character, and you have to trash a card from your hand. But then you can play a CP card other than Blueno with a cost of 5 or less from your trash. You don't play it rested incidentally, you just play it. So you have a 5-cost Blueno, you play this, trash it, trash a card from your hand to play a 5-cost CP card from your trash. I actually really like this. Essentially, you just go, well, I don't really want Blueno, I want a better card. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play this so that I can immediately trash it with a card from my hand, and then all of a sudden, I've got the card I want back rather than Blueno, and that works a lot better. And if we look at black CP cards with a cost of 5 or less, we got options. The Kaku from OP03, the KO's a 3 cost or less, that's pretty good. The Khalifa from CP9, that cycles cards, has counter plus 2k, and gives your opponent's characters -2 cost for the turn. That'll work very nicely indeed. The Rob Lucci from OP05. Yeah, that one. The one that's utterly broken. That'll work quite nicely. Or the Rob Lucci from OP07, if you prefer. Or the Hattori from OP07. Don't actually do that. It's a 1 cost with a good counter. Come on. But my point is, there are a bunch of cards here. So whereas I was just telling you about Ace and going, well, you know, there's some options, but I'm not necessarily loving any of them, that is not how I feel here. I really like Blueno because essentially what you can do is just use this as a 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th version of a card that you do like. Except actually, it doesn't have to just be one card. It can be a selection of cards. Doesn't do too much for you initially, you know, right in the early parts of the game. You do have to let a couple of turns go by before this really becomes a phenomenal card. But essentially, you can just play it, trash a card from your hand, and then swap it for a much better card in your trash. Yeah, I love this card. This card is brilliant. And let's go for one more just at the end. Just, I don't know, 3 cards doesn't seem right. Let's do 4. Let's go and have a look at Frankie. Because it's another card from Water 7. This is Frankie in the Water 7 garb. And it is actually a Water 7 type card as well. And it's pretty good. 3 cost, 4,000 power, counter plus 1,000. And on play and when attacking, if your leader is Straw Hat Pirates, and you have the same number of Don as your opponent or less, play a Don card from your Don deck rested. And of course, we do have a couple of purple Luffy that can be used here. We've got the one from OP05 that did so well in the Continental Championships last season, which, not too bad, honestly. Or the more recent one from OP09, which is not pure purple, it's purple-black, but it still totally counts, which is another card that kind of gets your Don back, and you're expected to make decks where you're minusing your Don a bunch, so, yeah. Having a character that's getting your Don back at the same time seems like a pretty good deal to me. I quite like this, Frankie. It's pretty nice. And it's on play and when attacking, which means that you get it every single turn. It's not just when you play it, and you don't have to wait until you can start attacking. You can have it every single turn, and that's nice. So there we go. Bunch of new cards, which I'm very excited about. The Buggy seems ridiculous. The Blueno, I absolutely adore. The Ace seems like a really good card for a deck that isn't that good, and I don't think it's going to make that much difference. And then Frankie gets more Don, and, well, we all know that that's what purple decks want. So there we go. There's your new cards. Now it's over to you guys. Are you as excited about this Buggy as I am? Tell me in the comment section. Get us! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.